I am so honored to introduce to you Maria Leonard Olsen. She practices law as a commercial litigator in Washington, D.C. She's an author, podcaster, journalist, TEDx speaker, book marketing coach for female authors, and mentor to women in recovery. She writes for several midlife publications, all of which sound really intriguing to me. Maria, congratulations for having your article titled Five Effective Strategies for Mental Well-Being published in Authority magazine recently.
Thank you.
Why did you respond to this particular interview topic about mental well-being?
Well, anxiety was debilitating for me in certain parts of my life, but it isn't anymore because I have effective tools for dealing with it, and I wanted to share those tools with others.
I'm so glad you did that. When was the worst time of anxiety or depression in your life?
It was in 2007 after my father died, and I didn't have effective tools for dealing with grief, and it manifested in anxiety and depression.
When we don't know how to manage grief, as you said, it's like it gets stuck in our bodies and creates anxiety and depression. You mentioned those as two of your symptoms. I love your description that depression is like trying to walk through deep molasses.
Yes.
I've had those periods of time in my life as well, and that's exactly what depression feels like. What helped you through that dark time?
Well, it was a combination of things. I think we're all individuals and we're all going through different periods with different capacities and capabilities during different parts of our life. So for me, I was determined to get out of it. My kids were very sad that their mom was a ghost of herself at that time. And so I tried lots of things. I tried traditional Western therapy. I read about depression and anxiety. I did go to have medication prescribed, and medication still is like being a human test tube. They had to try several different medications before anything had any effect at all. I tried exercise, I tried journaling, talking with friends, resting more, and it was probably a combination of all of those things that eventually lifted the cloud little by little.
I'm really amazed that as a depressed person you were able to try all of those things, because some of those things would require you to just push yourself to do them when you didn't feel like doing them.
Yes, yes. Well, I've always been a pretty tenacious, self-reliant person, but I also realized I couldn't do it by myself because this was bigger than I was capable of handling alone.
I think that's, turning point when we recognize we're not going to pull out of this by ourselves. We need help.
Yes.
What lessons have been learned by you over the years that serve you now?
Well, that's a big lesson is knowing that I can't do it alone and that courage doesn't necessarily mean doing things by yourself. Sometimes it means having humility to admit you can't do something alone and being willing, open and willing to try new things if something's not working. It's not one size fits all. And what works one day may not work another day. So I had to remain flexible and open minded and to learn for me what works and what doesn't work.
So tell me a little bit about your writing, particularly for middle-aged women.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I wrote this, my most successful book of the six I have published right now is called 50 After 50, Reframing the Next Chapter of Your Life. And in that book, I talked about how I emerged from being completely rudderless following divorce, getting sober, living alone for the first time in my life and becoming an empty nester, and how I restarted my life at age 50. So, as a result of that book, I got a lot of speaking gigs and writing assignments that I accepted. And then I became a regular contributor to several women in midlife publications. The most well known is AARP's The Ethel, which I contribute regularly. I also write for Cool Life, which is a really fun magazine online for women in midlife. I contribute to The Midst, MIDST, which is principally on Substack. And also, I've written for Crunchy Tales, which is based in the UK. And that's also a publication for women in midlife and how to live your best life. I also blog on my website, which is marialeonardolsen.com.
I'll repeat that. Maria Leonard Olsen, and Olsen spelled with an E-N, not an O-N,
Yeah.
.com. I highly recommend that the viewers of this video interview read the entire article in Authority Magazine. You had many good tips. You list 5 strategies that help you keep anxiety down today. One was hang out with people who are uplifting to you.
Yes.
Say a bit more about that, please.
Yeah, well, there's something called a negativity bias that's been studied and lots of literature about it. And it posits that you take on the characteristics of the 5 people with whom you spend the most time. And so if you hang around with negative people, you're likely to be more negative in your outlook. So I'm very intentional about with whom I spend my time. And I try to surround myself with people who are encouraging, who have what I have, who live a healthy lifestyle, who are also interested in continuing to learn throughout their lives. And so I really take stock of who I'm spending the most time with. And of course, you can't always avoid everyone who's negative in your life, but you can have boundaries and you can limit your time with people who have a negative effect on your psyche. It's definitely something that we all have a choice in how we spend our time. And time is the one thing none of us knows how much we'll have, and you can't buy it, you can't get it back, and you never know when is your last day on this earth.
Yeah, I've found that same principle to be true. I I try to spend time with people that infuse me with energy rather than draining my energy.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the most commonly expressed regrets of those who are dying is that they didn't spend more time with the people who mattered most to them.
Yes. So you've got another book coming out. What's its title?
Its working title is DNA Test Surprises: What to Do Before and After You Open the Pandora's Box of DNA Testing. And the book stems from an experience I had at age 53, learning that the father who raised me is not my biological father. And so, as a lawyer, I also took a deep dive into the ramifications, the legal ramifications of DNA testing that most people are not aware of. So, for instance, all of us who register on DNA test websites are potential genetic informants on anyone who is blood related to us.
Gosh, what a fascinating topic, and what a shock it must have been to find that out.
Oh, yeah,
And this is the father whose death impacted you so deeply.
correct. Yeah.
He must have been a very special man. Well, again, those of you who'd like to get in touch with Maria or follow her blog or learn more about her writing, go to marialeonardolsen.com.
Yeah.
And thank you again for spending these few minutes with me this morning.
Thank you.
You are so very welcome. Bye-bye.